The internet is blowing up after this woman's son's toy was stolen at a playground allegedly by another kid, but you won't believe what happens next.
You called him a child? Did you call the child the word? It is my business. You called him a... Okay, why don't you have the boss to say it right now again? Okay. Alright, that's what you say. Nobody dig into your shit.
Can't just dig you down.
That little kid, you call him a...
Yeah!
The little child?
What if he acts like one? He's gonna...
Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child, 5-year-old, the N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act
That's what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
You know, that's a hate speech. And you can be recorded for that.
I don't give a shit.
Imagine getting $500,000, over $500,000, because you called a little kid at the playground a bad word. Now, let's go over the facts, and then I can go ahead and do a deep dive into this brain, which is more like a lobotomy, to kind of sort of try to make sense of all this. So let's start with the facts. There was a woman at a playground with her baby. She was mad and upset because there was another little kid at the park who supposedly was going through her diaper bag, trying to eat some snacks, trying to get some Cheez-Its, doing some annoying kid stuff, right? What ends up happening is that allegedly, supposedly, this woman says to the little kid, hey, get away from my bag, you N-word, right? Now, hearing this, a grown man who was in the vicinity basically pulls out his phone and tries to go for an aha gotcha moment, basically saying, listen, I heard what you said to that little kid, that poor little kid. Why don't you repeat it? Aren't you afraid to repeat it? And she basically did the unthinkable, which was, she said, you know what? You want me to repeat it? I'll repeat it. I'll say it right now. You know what? That kid is an N-word for going through my bag. Now, what the intended effect of the person recording this audio was that he wanted to, quote unquote, get her canceled, get her found out, get her in trouble for saying not only the N-word, but saying it to a little kid, which was, first of all, insane. You're saying this to a little kid. And second of all, it's kind of nasty that she basically doubled down on this instead of being like, oh, I had a moment of, you know, extreme rage and basically couldn't control myself. She's like, yeah, that kid was being annoying, and that's what I called him. Now, this initially had the intended effect. This woman's personal information was leaked. She was basically being called racist on Twitter, which doesn't really mean much anything anymore. Like, being called racist on Twitter is basically just existing on Twitter. And she ends up going and she says, all right, I am getting canceled for this. I'm upset by this. I don't know what to do with this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to choose to make a GoFundMe, or a send me money. And the reason why you're going to send me money, guys, is because they're trying to ruin my life. They're trying to say that I'm a bad mom. They're trying to say that I'm a racist. They're trying to say all these different things. And she makes that GoFundMe. What ends up happening is a lot of people who are on the mom side show up and start supporting her because they basically see it on surface value like, oh, it's another gotcha moment, another we're going to cancel you moment, another, oh my goodness, this person is being bullied and harassed. Yeah, maybe she was wrong. Maybe she was angry. Or some people are just flat out saying, so what? Language is language, freedom of speech, etc., etc. And they're donating money to this person. Now, this is where it starts to accelerate. Not only do they start donating money to this person from a perhaps lapsed sympathetic viewpoint, but it starts to get national attention. It starts to get national attention because of the contents of it, because this person is getting donations. Because now, not only is it that this woman is saying this, but there's people supporting that this woman is saying this. She ends up getting thousands of dollars in donations. Not only does she end up getting thousands of dollars in donations, she also gets people now speaking out for her, saying that, you know, we're so sick of this cancel culture. We're so done with all this. Freedom of speech is freedom of speech. And some of these may be genuine. Some of these may be misguided. And a lot of these are propaganda pieces. And that is to say that there are some alt-right individuals who latch onto events like this in order to push a narrative, in order to push some information, similar to what you see in way back yonder days when you had something happen to a black person. Al Sharpton would show up, he'd capitalize on it, he would say this, that, and the third, and it would be kind of a movement. That's what they're trying to do now with national media for selective reasons. For example, for this case, they basically came out and they tried to state that this woman is unrightfully being targeted. This woman is not in the wrong. She's just, unfortunately, in the wrong place in the wrong time. They then go on to say that this person did nothing wrong. This person is right. And they then try to say that they support freedom of speech, and they try to make it political. And not only do they try to make it political, they try to essentially make her a talking point for additional reasons as to why black people are terrible. That kid deserves to be talked to the way he was talked to. They don't know how to behave. And they not only do that, they then start to rope in and pull in a recent news story where they were talking about a young man who ended up getting killed at a track meet. And the reason being is that they got into a scuffle, they got into a disagreement, and there's a pending court case. But again, these alt-right individuals latch onto this as a propaganda piece in order to say that white people in general are under attack by this minority group, and that the government, the police, whatever entity you want to call out, is not doing enough to protect these individuals. In that case, the kid got arrested. He's going to go to court. It's going to be seen what will happen. And in this case, it's completely irrelevant, but it somehow gets lumped in together because, again, it's this propaganda talking piece. Now, what's also interesting in all this is that on top of people basically attacking this from every angle you can imagine, you also have a weird twist of events where the person recording, this person who originally his intention was to basically go out there, record, get some information, try to basically make it sound like this person was essentially cancelable or someone that should be canceled. They then go on to get found out to be a registered offender, and questions are called into: why is this guy at the park with no kids recording? Why is this guy there? Why is he doing what he's doing, etc., etc., etc. And it's weird because now you're talking about everything and nothing at the same time. Like, okay, what are we even talking about? Are we talking about the fact that a woman at the park literally called a little kid a slur because they were being annoying? Are we talking about freedom of speech? Do you care about freedom of speech? Is this a racial issue? Is this a national issue? There's so many things that are getting pulled into this, and they're all propaganda talking pieces. And the reason why I say they're propaganda talking pieces is because these people say, oh, freedom of speech, I say what I want to say. There is no right for you to say things unless it's something I agree with. Of course, that's how freedom of speech works. You only agree with things when they agree with you. Now, what's insane and what's crazy is that this person is now going to get damn near $1 million. And not only are they going to get damn near $1 million, but they basically get off scot-free. Like, they don't really get anything negative from this. They don't really lose anything. They only gain money. And it's really unfortunate because this turned into a very weird propaganda piece. And this is something that can happen where, you know, we lose the plot so much so where you literally have a case and scenario where you're like, hey, what is going on exactly? What's happening here? Why are we supporting a woman bullying a little kid at the park? Oh, it's because white lives matter. Oh, it's because we can't have this thing happen. Oh, it's because of this, that, and the third. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. But again, there is a caveat in all this, which is to say that this happened on the internet. The internet is a microcosm of the world. Who knows how many of these are bots? Who knows how many of these people actually support ridiculous claims that are made here? It's actually very sad to see this, but at the same time, it's also, you know, it really does make you awestruck because it really has you scratching your head and wondering why this happened, how this happened. And at the end of the day, throughout all this, whether you are extreme on one side where you think that quote unquote freedom of speech is fine and there's nothing that can stop it unless you decide to boycott a certain country in the Middle East, in that case, we're going to stop you from saying that. Or you're an extreme on the other side where you're basically saying that you can't say this word ever, which is honestly, from this context of saying this to a little kid, is not even that extreme. That's crazy to say to a little kid. I think that really this is a unfortunate situation where people aren't even paying attention. They're not even saying anything. They're not even doing anything that makes remote sense. It's just an excuse to bring up other points. It's like whenever we talk to a politician and ask them a question about, hey, why don't we spend more money on healthcare? And they just give you a runaround answer, a different caveat, another thing to do. It's not anything to do with anything. It's just them spurging out and talking their talking points. So when you see a situation like this where you have people donating hundreds of thousands of dollars to a mother who supposedly has her life ruined, she's got to move. She lives in Rochester, New York, for crying out loud. Her house probably goes on the market for $200K. She's going to take this over $500,000, going on $1 million now. By the way, kudos to this woman, because her original thought was to raise $125,000. But once she saw there was enough yuckity yucks donating, she raised it to $500K. And now that it's over $500K, I'm sure that her new goal is $1 million. Good for her. She's going to get $1 million off this. I don't know. I don't know if she's a terrible person. She's definitely not setting a good example for her son and her kid. I think the real problem here and the real issue here, and right now I'm going to bite off of these people who are using their own propaganda pieces and their own pieces of talking points. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Biggest problem here is that there was not enough fathers in the picture. That lady's husband wasn't there. That little kid's dad wasn't there. If the kid's dad was there, he would have told him, don't go through the bag. If the husband was there, he would have been like, honey, I have a job, be quiet. But because there was a lot of fatherless activities, there was no father there to tell that little kid, don't go through that bag. There was no husband there to keep his woman in line. Because listen, there's nothing worse than a woman who's been unchained. Because of that, we're at this situation.